Imagine a city so desperate that it had to dismantle its entire police department just to stay afloat. Picture another place where the locals actually voted to erase themselves from the map. Literally. This isn't your average top 10 crime cities list. This is the side of America they don't show in documentaries, the stories that don't sell because they haunt. We're talking about towns where danger isn't just a statistic and it's a feeling, empty streets that whisper secrets, failing infrastructure that groans under the weight of neglect, and city names that make you pause in disbelief. You'll encounter forgotten river towns, eerie desert outposts, and places where deer outnumber humans 10 to 1. Yet crime thrives. One city literally buries a Confederate flag in its city seal. Another, blink while driving through and you might just survive. Think you know America's worst cities? Think again, because danger isn't always loud. Sometimes it's subtle, slow, quiet, and disguised as normal. One city even files for bankruptcy, like it's a seasonal ritual. Buckle up, you're not ready for what comes next. Subscribing might just save your sanity. Number 10. Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Pine Bluff feels like a fortune cookie that went terribly wrong. On paper, the headlines promise change. Growth revival, but in reality, the only thing rising faster than expectations here are burglary rates, violent crime rate, over double the national average, property crime rate not far behind, population trend, shrinking steadily for decades, average rent around $750 a month, cheap, but only because nobody actually wants to live here. Walk down any street in Pine Bluff and you'll feel it. A town full of secrets, shadows and silent stories. Abandoned homes line blocks where jobs have disappeared, and the remnants of once bustling neighborhoods whisper of better days. As one Reddit local put it perfectly, even the stray dogs look like they're planning an escape route. The city keeps trying. Arts grants, revitalization programs, occasional community events, they all offer glimmers of hope. But just as quickly, momentum dies. A crime spike, a small business closing, or another abandoned building breaking the spell. Living here isn't just a lifestyle, it's a constant negotiation with risk. Doors are locked early, streets are memorized to avoid, and car insurance becomes less of a financial necessity and more of a sacred ritual. And the roads? Forget potholes, they're miniature craters, deep enough to swallow a car's tire and leave a dent in your soul. Navigating Pine Bluff isn't commuting, it's survival training. Hit one at 35 mapper, and suddenly you understand why locals joke about needing frequent flyer miles just to get to work safely. Pine Bluff is a city of contrasts, small-town charm buried under decades of neglect, hope teetering on the edge of despair, and a community that refuses to quit even when everything around it seems to have. It's haunting, challenging, and oddly captivating, a place that leaves a mark on anyone who drives its streets. Number 9. Gallup, New Mexico. From a distance, Gallup is pure spectacle. Towering mesas, jagged canyons, and skies so vast they feel like they could swallow the entire world. The kind of place photographers chase, painters attempt to capture, and travelers dream about. But get closer and the illusion begins to crack. Up close, beauty collides with hardship, and the chaos beneath the surface becomes undeniable. Violent crime, nearly 3 times the national average. Property crime, extremely high. Average rent, $900 a month. Poverty. Nearly 1/3 of residents live below the poverty line. Detox centers run around the clock, yet they're always full. Infrastructure is deteriorating, roads riddled with cracks. An emergency, services are stretched so thin that a 911 call often feels like a shot in the dark. One Reddit local captured it perfectly. Gallup is the kind of town where tumbleweeds have a better sense of direction than the city planners. Living here is like walking a tightrope between culture and crisis. On one side, you're enveloped by the rich, enduring traditions of the Navajo and Zuni communities, vibrant art, deep history, and stories that have survived centuries. On the other, modern neglect gnaws at every corner. Abandoned buildings, underfunded services, and streets that seem to bend under the weight of mismanagement. Picture this, you step outside just as the sun rises. The red rocks glow like embers. Desert air is crisp and cool, and a lone raven caws atop a telephone pole. A sudden gust of sand hits your face, carrying with it the faint wail of a distant siren. The beauty is mesmerizing, but the danger is tangible, lurking quietly in plain sight. Gallup is a paradox. It's breathtaking and haunting, serene yet unforgiving. A place where the soul of the Southwest pulses through its culture, but survival feels like a daily challenge. It's chaotic, it's raw, and it leaves an indelible mark on anyone who dares to call it home or even just passes through. Number 8. East St. Louis, Illinois. Google Maps should probably come with a warning before you enter. East St. Louis. Are you sure you want to go here? Because this city isn't just dangerous, it's a living, breathing case study in abandonment, decay, and resilience all rolled into one. Violent crime rate over 20 times the national average. Median household income around $24,000. Population decline over 60% since the 1950s. City services broken, bankrupt, and dysfunctional. Once a thriving industrial hub, East St. Louis is now a shadow of its former self. Entire blocks sit abandoned. Streetlights flicker or don't work at all, and roads have evolved into lunar landscapes, riddled with craters that could swallow a car whole. Walking these streets at dusk feels cinematic, but in the wrong genre, like a horror film set in slow motion. Yet amid the decay, life refuses to vanish entirely. Local churches, community block parties, and youth programs strive to stitch hope back together, even as the official systems crumble. Here, resilience isn't optional. It's a necessity. Residents navigate a world where police response can take forever. Trash pickup is unreliable, and basic services have long since stopped functioning as intended. Imagine this scene. The sun sets over the Mississippi, casting an amber glow across boarded-up storefronts. A stray dog wanders across a cracked lot, weaving between abandoned cars and piles of weeds. The streetlight above you hasn't worked since the early 2000s. Somewhere, in the distance, a freight train rumbles, echoing like the city's heartbeat, a persistent reminder that life continues even when everything else seems broken. East St. Louis is heavy, haunting, and layered with history and hardship. It's a place where poverty, crime, and neglect are visible at every corner. But so is the human spirit, stubbornly refusing to disappear. The contrast is stark. Beauty and tragedy, decay and resilience, all existing side by side. For anyone stepping foot here, it's impossible to leave without feeling the weight of its story. Number 7. Gary, Indiana. Gary is America's ghost city, once a roaring steel titan, alive with the hum of factories, union pride, and Friday night optimism. Today it feels like a city caught in slow-motion collapse. What remains is a landscape of emptiness, streets lined with abandoned homes, factories standing silent like monuments to a bygone era, and neighborhoods where time seems to have paused. Population plummeted from 178,000 to around 68,000. Vacancy rate among the highest in the United States. Violent crime roughly 4 times the national average. Median home price around $50,000. Walking through Gary is like navigating a physical memory. Cracked roads ripple under your feet. Streetlights flicker or fail completely. And winters are brutal, biting winds off Lake Michigan that feel almost personal. Each day carries the emotional weight of a city that once thrived but now struggles just to breathe. The contrasts are jarring. Drive 10 minutes east, and you reach thriving suburbs filled with well-kept homes, bustling streets, and relative safety. Drive 10 minutes west, and the atmosphere shifts. Pigeons scavenge along empty lots. Abandoned cars rust quietly, and the ghosts of industrial glory whisper through hollowed-out buildings. Living here is more than just physical survival. It's psychological endurance. Every boarded-up window, every empty playground, every silent factory is a reminder of what once was and what has been lost. Yet despite it all, some residents remain, holding on to fragments of community, grit, and stubborn pride in a city the world seems to have forgotten. Gary is haunting, melancholic, and strangely cinematic. It's a place where the past refuses to leave, and the present is a test of resilience. Step onto its streets and you feel history pressing in on every side, whispering the story of America's rise, its collapse, and the quiet perseverance in between. Number 6. Danville, Virginia. Danville feels like a city caught in a time loop, where the echoes of its past refuse to let the present breathe. On the surface, it has all the charm of a historic southern town: red brick buildings, church steeples piercing the sky, and porches that invite slow, lazy afternoons. But look closer and the cracks appear, not just in the streets, but in the very fabric of the city's identity. Violent crime, roughly twice the national average. Median income, around $40,000. Average rent, $800 month. Half of Danville seems desperate for progress, for revitalization, for a future beyond the shadows of its own history. The other half clings stubbornly to nostalgia, unwilling to let go of the past. Even when the streetlights haven't worked since the 1990s, downtown redevelopment projects promise hope. But just a few blocks away, abandoned shops and overgrown lots remind you that dreams and reality rarely align here. Living in Danville is like walking through a city stuck between two eras. One moment you feel the pulse of Southern charm. The next you're navigating pothole-laden roads, dodging streets that seem designed to confuse, and passing buildings that tell stories of economic decline. It's a place where the past doesn't just linger. It dictates the pace of life. And sometimes, it feels like it's running the show. Step onto a quiet street at dawn. The morning air smells of pine and lingering history. Birds chirp in the churchyard, and a neighbor waves across the street. Everything seems calm, until you notice the vacant lot across the street, the boarded windows, and the construction project that never finished. That's Danville, a city suspended between memory and ambition, nostalgia and necessity, hope and stagnation. It's haunting, oddly beautiful, and deeply human, a place where living means constantly negotiating between the weight of history and the possibility of change. Number 5, Compton, California. Compton is a city of contrasts so stark they feel almost surreal, where horse riders trot down streets, just 2 blocks away from the echoes of gunfire and sirens. On one corner, you'll find a freshly renovated $1.2 million duplex. On the next, a convenience store that was just robbed yesterday. Violent crime here is roughly twice the national average. Median household income hovers around $56,000, and rent averages about $1,600 per month, climbing rapidly as gentrification sweeps through pockets of the city. Life in Compton exists in a constant collision of worlds. Deep-rooted poverty and historical struggle rubbing shoulders with fast-paced redevelopment and rising real estate prices. Streets are alive with energy, unpredictable chaos, and the stories of people trying to survive, thrive, and sometimes just exist, all at the same time. The city's identity is cinematic. It's chaotic, dangerous yet undeniably fascinating. You might see a teenager riding a horse with a Bluetooth speaker blasting Nipsey Hussle, palm trees swaying under the California sun, while around the corner, a local bodega posts a crime alert. Living in Compton means negotiating contradictions daily. The tension between past and present, danger and normalcy, tradition and change. It's a place that leaves an indelible mark on anyone who walks its streets, where every block tells a story, and every corner could surprise you, challenge you, or shock you, and often all three at once. Number 4, Wilkinsburg, Pennsylvania. Wilkinsburg is a town that once looked at itself and said, maybe it's time to disappear. Just a few miles from Pittsburgh, it feels like a place caught in a time warp, frozen between ambition and abandonment. Violent crime here runs about 3 times the national average. The population has dwindled by over 50% since the 1950s, and the median home value hovers around $65,000. Numbers that tell only part of the story. Walking through Wilkinsburg is like stepping into a liminal space, a city suspended between past vibrancy and present neglect. Residents pay high taxes for services that barely exist, navigating streets riddled with potholes, cracked sidewalks, and ghostly echoes of a time when the town thrived. Public services are stretched thin, City Hall often feels unreachable, and the infrastructure groans under decades of deferred maintenance. Yet amid the decay, life persists. People move with quiet resilience, walking ghostly streets with a mix of grit, determination, and cautious hope. Churches still open their doors, neighbors look out for each other, and community programs attempt to stitch together the fragments of what once was. Living in Wilkinsburg means negotiating the tension of hope and despair daily, driving down streets that feel abandoned yet strangely alive, passing boarded-up businesses while hearing the distant hum of life just beyond the town's borders. Imagine sipping coffee on a cracked porch as the morning sun falls across vacant lots, the faint sound of a church bell in the distance, a neighbor walking a small dog past shuttered windows, and sirens echoing somewhere far away. This is Wilkinsburg, hopeful yet haunted, stuck yet stubborn, a city that tried to erase itself but continues to leave an indelible mark on anyone who steps inside its faded streets. Number 3, Stockton, California. Stockton is a city of stark contrasts, a place where California's natural beauty collides with financial collapse and social decay. Once bustling and promising, Stockton has declared bankruptcy twice, yet the cost of living continues to climb, creating a paradox that's both fascinating and unsettling. Population, 310,000. Violent crime, approximately 2.5 times the national average. Property crime, extremely high. Median home price, around $450,000. The city's charm and danger exist side by side. Historic downtown districts, riverside views, and endless California sunshine offer glimpses of what the city could be. But juxtaposed against these are abandoned factories, boarded-up homes, empty lots, and graffiti-covered walls, remnants of economic hardship and social neglect that refuse to fade. Living in Stockton is a constant gamble. One morning you sip coffee on your porch under a clear blue sky. Moments later, the wail of sirens cuts through the calm, reminding you that safety is never guaranteed here. Streets tell stories in layers. Murals and street art celebrate community, while decay and neglect whisper warnings. Life in Stockton means learning the rhythm of uncertainty. Job opportunities are scarce. Insurance premiums are high. And trust in local systems is fragile. Yet amid the chaos, pockets of resilience persist. Community gardens flourish where abandoned lots once stood. Art projects breathe color into gray neighborhoods, and local initiatives refuse to let the city vanish entirely. Stockton is a city of contrasts, of tension, and of stories where hope and hardship coexist in an uneasy, compelling balance. Number 2. Centralia, Pennsylvania. Centralia is perhaps the most bizarre entry on this list, a town that has literally almost vanished. Once a bustling community of thousands, today only a handful of residents remain, because beneath the streets burns an underground coal fire that has been smoldering for decades, turning the town into a living ghost story. Population 5 once thousands. Crime, practically irrelevant. Nature did the work. Atmosphere, post-apocalyptic eerie fog, smoke curling from the cracked streets. Picture walking down a street where smoke seeps from the asphalt, tendrils of heat rising from the ground beneath your feet. Abandoned homes lean precariously. Sidewalks buckle over subterranean flames, and nature slowly reclaims what humanity once built. Streets lead nowhere. Street signs stand as monuments to a forgotten past, and the air smells faintly of char and decay. A Reddit local once wrote, "Centralia isn't a town. It's a memory, and the memory smells like smoke." That perfectly captures the haunting reality here. Centralia is surreal, impossible, and eerie, a place where the past lingers as ash and heat, where every step reminds you that time and neglect can erase an entire community. Living here isn't just impossible, it's like walking through a cautionary tale. Every crack, every plume of smoke, every abandoned building tells a story of environmental disaster, human oversight, and the slow, relentless power of nature reclaiming its territory. Centralia exists in a state between reality and myth, a ghost town that teaches a chilling lesson. Some dangers aren't loud or sudden. They smolder quietly, beneath the surface until there's nothing left to see. Number 1. Detroit, Michigan. Detroit is a city of contradictions. A towering symbol of both urban collapse and relentless resilience. Once the beating heart of America's automotive empire, it now exists in a surreal landscape where abandoned factories and graffiti-covered houses sit side by side with newly renovated lofts and community gardens. Walking its streets feels like stepping into a living storybook of triumph, decline, and rebirth. Population, 670,000, down from 1.8 million. Violent crime, approximately 4 times the national average. Property crime, extremely high. Unemployment, historically high but slowly recovering. Detroit's streets are a collage of contrasts. On one block, vibrant murals celebrate local artists. Startup cafes hum with energy, and community gardens flourish in vacant lots. On the next, boarded-up houses, broken streetlights, and cracked roads remind you that time has left its mark. Every neighborhood tells a story of rise and fall, of human ingenuity colliding with economic hardship. Life here is a negotiation between beauty and decay. Residents carry the weight of decades of decline while still pushing forward, planting gardens, opening small businesses, and breathing life into spaces that might otherwise vanish. The city pulses with a quiet resilience, visible in every block party, every mural, every grassroots initiative striving to reclaim a sense of pride. Detroit teaches a hard, humbling lesson. Collapse doesn't always happen overnight. Sometimes it creeps in slowly, leaving beauty and tragedy intertwined. daring anyone who walks its streets to notice both the scars and the spirit of survival. In Detroit, you see what happens when ambition meets adversity, and you understand that even in the shadow of decline, a city and its people can refuse to disappear.